We work hard, we play hard. We are gamerpreneurs. Individuals who have chosen to give up the security of a 9 to 5 in favor of getting to set our own hours, of doing the work that we want to do, and we refuse to give up the hobby that we grew up with in order to, quote, grow up. We have learned countless laws of life and sales from the games that we play, and we excel in everything we do. We see the wonder and glory in every interaction. We fit in awkwardly with the rest of the world because they don't understand our quirkiness, and we wear it as a badge of pride. We are focused, clear, and know what we want. We are gamerpreneurs, and we are taking over the world. Hey there, everybody. Dr. Bradford Carlton. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. Today, I have a very special guest for you. We have KomodoKnowles. Hi there, KomodoKnowles.
Hey, what's going on?
AKA Ian. I'm going to call you Ian. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. So it's a beautiful day in sunny Las Vegas day. How about yourself?
It's like 40 degrees in Ohio, so
Well, that's not too bad for Ohio. You know,
yeah, it's really not.
snowstorms, what, next week, right?
Yeah, or maybe even later tomorrow. Who knows?
You never know. So, Ian, can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, online, my name is KomodoKnowles, and I play lots of video games. I have a podcast, and I stream when I game, and just got a lot of little things like that going on. I mean, essentially, I spend most of my time, if I'm not at work or with my family, I'm essentially streaming late night after my second shift job. And podcasting is pretty inconsistent right now, but basically we'll go through like little bursts of basically we'll put out like mini series of episodes, and then we'll stop for a while, do a lot of research, and then we'll go back in.
All right, tell us more about your podcast. You know, what's it called? What's it about?
So the podcast is the Anecdote Podcast. It typically started out because me and my friends just wanted to joke around, do like a round table discussion about anecdotes, stories in our lives, making fun of them, making fun of others' stories, and like, you know, possibly too, like I've always wanted to kind of like push some kind of narrative of growth. But I wasn't very good at it when I first started. So we did it for a couple years, and it was okay and got like moderate reception. But not only was I bad at marketing, but I was also really bad at editing and kind of going the extra mile to bust my own balls in terms of like the quality of the podcast. So we ended up switching gears, and now I'm doing what I really want to do, which is essentially evaluating socioeconomics and teaching people how to prepare for their future financially, because I don't feel like schools do a lot of that. So we basically cover a lot of economics and like maybe things like contradictions or things in your life that you don't really realize. Like, for instance, we have how easy it is to invest. Like, we have an episode on that. A lot of people think investing is really hard, but when it comes to the basics, like things that like 401ks and basic investment accounts that you can easily do with little to no money, basically we're just showing you how to like just access that money that's just sitting there waiting for you. For things like company match, you know, like a lot of companies will match up to 4 or 6%, and that's just free money for you to take. So basically it's things like education and finance, but we try to do it in a funny, charismatic way, because a concept like that can be pretty heavy, boring, you know. I didn't want it to be a snooze fest.
Sure, no, I get it.
But I wanted to like give to people.
Sure. I was an attorney. I'm a business coach. I never learned finances. It wasn't something that you get taught. And really this whole past year, I was working with some higher end financial guys, and the stuff they can do is mind blowing. Like you'd think life insurance, oh, I'm going to die, but no, it's a heck of an investment vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of little things like HSAs. They're like a super 401k that require like little to no effort. A lot of companies will even pour money into it, and you don't even know, because it's not like a common knowledge for even the employees. But essentially, you know, read your booklets when you work at a job, you know, find out where your free money is, because the HSAs they're originally made to, just save up some scratch to cover medical bills that your insurance wouldn't otherwise cover. But after about 400 to 500 bucks, depending on your policy, it starts investing like an account. So basically, you can invest in index funds while you're just saving up for a possible health bill, and there's no statute of limitations. So there is a limited amount you can put in there, but not a limited amount you can earn back from the investments. So you can only put in about 3.5 grand a year, but the amount you get back is limitless. So, and it doesn't matter how much is sitting in there, you can only contribute 3,500. So, I mean, really, like I said, there's no statute of limitations. So if you keep your receipts, you break your arm when you're 45 and you've been giving into this health savings account, it doesn't cost you anything to fix that arm out of pocket. It doesn't cost you to, buy all your health supplies that you need from the stores that are okay with it. And you could save all your receipts up if you could pay for your own injuries. And then you could just cash in those receipts at any time with no rules.
Sure. No, finances are absolutely fascinating. If it's not someone just trying to shove it down your throat. Like if you're
Right.
actually learning this stuff, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So now let's kind of get back to like what I do with my podcast. I always start my podcast asking you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you?
I thought a little bit about this because I've listened to your podcast up until this point. And I don't know. I got to be sitting somewhere at a 7 or an 8. I want to be honest because I feel like 9 is absolutely insane and eccentric, and 10 is like, I don't know, eating paste during the interview. So I would have to say like probably 7 or 8 because like I'm a goofball. I make off-color comments and jokes, and I do some really weird stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm like crazy.
Oh, I would say I do all that too, just not on camera.
Yeah.
No, I love asking that question because I'm trying to get people to realize that gamers aren't 9, 10 every time just because they're gamers.
Right.
When you look at it in total, every single person I'm talking to, they're like, oh yeah, I'm way up here. But when you put them in a room together, they're all like down here.
Right.
So do you believe that's true? Like if you took a bunch of gamers, put them together, no one would be really all that weird because it's your people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say not only from my personal experience, but also from listening to your podcast and watching a lot of streamers myself, because you don't want to do anything that you don't research your competition or colleagues on. I would say that yeah, we're all a little more average than we think, like especially when in comparison to our peers.
All right.
So,
So let's talk about your stream. How'd you get started?
um, I did like an oddball stream here or there, and just to try it out. I was streaming directly from the PlayStation 4 system, which has massive limitations. You could hardly do anything. And for some reason, it's one feature too that they haven't really updated. But so like now and again, I would just like try it, and I'd be like, hey, maybe I can make a friend or two or something. But I guess I didn't really know what it could even do for me, so I just kind of did it whenever. Really inconsistent. But last March, I decided to take it a little more seriously and see like, well, what if I just like plugged into it? What if I really just did it consistently, uh, you know, made friends, networked, and just tried to like make it a thing for myself, possibly even make it an income stream. Because, essentially when I consider a lot of things, I have a ton of hobbies, but they don't bring in money. And so like, aside from my 9 to 5, it would be nice to maybe have an alternate source of income. And so I considered that, and I got a whole lot more than I expected.
That's fantastic.
Especially with experiences, like just with friends and stuff. I have, a lot of friends come through, and it is fun. And, it's also kind of like, I've listened to a lot of people talk about streaming and it's this or it's that, but really it's not, in my opinion, for the faint of heart, really, because you have to deal with a lot of scrutiny when you're just starting out, like at the low level. It seems like people just love to talk trash or, make you feel bad about one thing or another, but you're not established enough to just like 100% ignore them, because it is still feedback. Um, but yeah, I started doing it consistently last March. I became affiliated about a month later on Twitch. Right now, I also stream to Mixer as well simultaneously. And right now, I'm growing Mixer, so I'm still under 100 followers. Um, I'm just trying to get to know some people. I'm not too focused on like selling myself on Mixer as much as I am just trying to, make some friends, see really what the company and the platform stand for. Like, what kind of vibe do I get from it? What can I do for it? What can it do for me? Twitch, I think I pretty much have that, understood.
Okay.
But
Speaking
yeah,
about Twitch for a second, so there's been a lot of, we'll say, discussion about Twitch's moderation of its streamers. Do you have any opinions on that?
I would say, or lack thereof. I think in some ways they're a little too strict on some of the average Joes that are just kind of being eccentric, and they're not cracking down hard enough on things like the hot button issue right now is like nudity and semi-nudity. And I think, if it breaches terms of service, like personally, I don't want to be on a platform that's can be misconstrued as pornographic. Um, I believe that if you want to do that, there's other businesses for that. And I don't think, no disrespect to anybody who wants to make that their career, but it shouldn't be on a social media platform. I don't really feel like that's what it's there for. And there are other avenues for that specifically that are also going to protect their rights better. And they're going to stand to make more money there. And so I think that, I don't think they crack down hard enough on things like animal abuse. You know, there's that video going around of Alinity, like throwing her cat and force feeding it vodka. And, I think things like that, they're already an ethical issue. And they're also against terms of service, but they don't really seem to care about cracking down on those people.
Why do you think
And
that
I
is?
just, personally, it's just speculation, but a lot of people are saying that those people are friends with the people who work at Twitch. And I think that also maybe, just the type of person they are, I think that maybe they just rub shoulders with the right people. I do think it's favoritism.
Okay. Well, let's move off of that for a second. Let's talk more about you.
Sure.
What kind of unique skills do you have that you think have helped you become successful?
Well, I hesitate to call myself successful because I always feel like I'm missing something or I need to push harder or I need to do more of
That's a
something. But
fantastic attitude. It means you're never satisfied.
yeah, I am never happy with what I got um, in terms of success. But I would say the thing that helps the most is kind of being able to tear yourself apart and like rebuild yourself with your new experiences. And, there's a lot of good you can take from your negative experiences. And I feel like that maybe that's the difference in a way between people who succeed and people who don't is, when somebody comes in my stream and they're like mean or they're, deconstructive instead of helpful, or friendly, I just use them as the butt of the joke. I just kind of turn on them like, thank you for giving me the opportunity to entertain the good people in here by ripping on the bad person. It's almost like a heckler at a comedy show where the comedian just kind of turns them into the joke. And I feel like, you know, I think people are a lot of times are afraid to fail. And I think that the bravery to like voluntarily fail and keep failing, I think that kind of makes the difference.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to go off script a bit. Failing. Do you think that's a good thing?
Oh, definitely. I don't think I would have. I think as humans, and I've talked about this with my researchers for my finance podcast. Um, we talked about how like a lot of people, especially the lesser intelligent people, or just the really stalwart, stern people, they seem to not want to change anything about their life till they have like some kind of near-death experience or they're on their deathbed. I think the best thing you can do is to force yourself to change as early as you can change. And I think failure brings you down to the level of like maybe humility and like in like a humble vibe to where you can use that to access like the next level. I think, a lot of people are afraid to fail, or they succeed in a small amount and they're like, okay, I got a little nugget, I'm good. And I think that like that's not enough. You need to just accept the fact that it's scary and you can fall all the way back down those steps, but you got to just keep climbing.
That is absolutely wonderful advice. That is really the basis of personal development. You got to keep trying, and you fail, learn from it, and move on. All right.
Yeah, I've actually I failed at a bunch of things. I've tried to merchandise shirts when I was like 18 or 19. I've tried to draw my own designs and get like a design company going.
So have I,
I
my
just
man. So have I.
yeah, it's just that's what kind of makes me, I guess, qualified to say like it's okay to fail, and like you should definitely try to do it all the time.
At the very least, I can thankfully say I've always sold at least one of the thing I've always tried to to
Yeah,
build. So
yeah. Grandma's got a closet full of your one thing.
no, never sold a family. They'll never buy from you, and they'll hate on you the whole time they're doing it.
Yeah.
So your stream, would you let me restart. What do you wish you had known when you were first starting that you didn't know back then that you know now?
Well, I come from, finance and research. Like my obsessions are, things like history and English and like things that like, socioeconomics, psychology and consumerism. So those are the things that drive me. So I think when I first started out, I was too obsessed with results. Because I'm a results guy. I'm interested in the numbers of why I succeed and fail, because I'm always evaluating, always growing, always trying to adjust my approach. And that doesn't work that well for streaming at the beginning. So I guess if I could go back and tell myself something, it'd be just relax. Like, um, people are going to like you or they're not going to like you. All you can do is try to be the best version of yourself and, turn that viewer count off. Uh, you know, don't join one of those groups that's like follow for follow and stuff like that, because none of it really works. It's not, the only thing that your numbers are going to matter for is when you're already successful, your numbers are going to matter to sponsors. Otherwise, your numbers don't really matter for anything.
Very
So you should just turn that viewer count off if you have the option.
All right, thank you. Now, so that's fantastic advice. My usual follow-up question is, what advice would you have for someone who's brand new, hasn't quite started a stream yet, but would like to know what to do?
Okay, well, yeah, first off, um, do some tests, like make sure you can handle just dealing with the equipment, because what people don't talk a lot about is how much audio equipment specifically fails or doesn't work or needs adjusted, because everybody's system is a little different. Everybody's desktop might have different, equipment involved, different parts, different drivers. They can all change how everything interacts with each other. You may have to adjust settings and bit rates on your stream, because if you make it too high, then people on mobile can't watch you. If you make it too low, then it just looks like pixelated garbage. And I would say if you can't handle the research, you're not going to be able to handle the stream very well. So I think my biggest thing for people is research, and yeah, don't get caught up in numbers. And also, like, be critical of yourself. You're When you stream, you're saying, if you wanted to make money streaming, you'd be saying that you're offering a product that no one else is offering, so they should come to you instead of someone else. So I would say that if you're not prepared to be in some way have some kind of niche over someone else, then it's not really time well spent unless you're just using it as a hobby.
All right. All right. Now let's take a step back real quick. I want to talk about you as a person, really you as a gamer. So you mentioned that a little bit how you got into playing video games. Can you tell us how you first started?
Well, my mom was playing the original Mario and Zelda on the NES when I was in her belly. So when I was still in the womb, I was hearing the 8-bit music. So I would say
Gamer for
that
life.
yeah. So I would say that as soon as I was like 2 or 3 years old, I was being introduced to like Tetris and Mario and playing the games that my mom played when I was, in the womb. I remember my grandpa would always play Tetris with me on the NES, and then I got a Super NES for Christmas when I was like, I want to say 5 or 6, maybe a year later than that. And then from then on, it was just nonstop for me. I'd rather, people wanted to go to school to see their friends or whatever. I would rather be home playing games. so,
Right.
so
And
that's how
I
I got
get it.
started.
Oh, that's exactly my story. I started playing it around 2. I don't remember playing. My parents tell me all the time I play Mario, and I would yell at them for not getting the mushrooms. So,
Yeah,
all right. Are there any games or updates you're looking to coming out soon?
I'm interested in seeing the PlayStation 5 deliver on the promises of being uh, just better, faster, and more modular than the previous systems. I'm a PlayStation person. I do have a PC that is gaming capable, but I don't play that much on PC. I'm mostly on PlayStation. Be- Essentially, that's because that's where all my friends are. I know performance-wise, I would have a little bit of a more positive result if I used PC for most of my things, but I just like the friendship that I have on PlayStation, and also it helps on streams too to, have a bunch of people who you can get on with and laugh with, and honestly, you win more games when you play with people. So,
All right. Now, kind of digging deep, what's your favorite game of all time?
Final Fantasy Tactics, that's an easy one.
Tactics. I love it. That's
Yeah, I'm
a hidden
very
gem, isn't it?
yeah, that a lot of people don't even really talk about it, but the thing is like just the tactical gameplay, um that and
God
Tactics
system was
Ogre were
wonderful.
like yeah, that and Tactics Ogre were like one of the biggest games that, and people still don't really talk about them, but I just think it's a really, really unique and effective game model.
Oh, definitely. I play games for the story, and Final Fantasy Tactics had a fantastic story. It was really deep.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was very, because you could go with the immediate effect of the characters you're playing and the characters around them, but then you also consider the balance of like the mythology of the world mixed with their clashing traditions of different kingdoms, and then you find out that none of it really matters because there's like, a very large group of people that are from both kingdoms that just kind of want to control how all the politics and religion flow in order to control people, and it's just, it's a really cool concept.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't played it yet, I don't know what to say.
I mean, there's only that one scene that changes everything.
Yeah.
If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
I guess in a way, and this is more of a comic book character, but I love the Spider-Man games, and I'd just love to be Spider-Man. Just really, really strong for his size. Hypersensitivity to
Are,
like things happening.
are you a
As
maximum carnage kind of guy?
yeah, I mean, uh,
That's
you mean
throwing it
like
back a bit.
you mean what do you mean by that?
That's the isn't that Super Nintendo one? Maximum
Oh,
carnage?
okay. Yeah, yeah.
No. Okay. Well, they don't all land. So moving on. So you talked a little bit about your failures already.
Yeah.
But instead of asking you about what you failed at, because I always ask my guests that, I actually want to sidestep that. What is it you do in your real life? Because I'm trying to get people to understand that gamers aren't lazy. They're not unmotivated. It's not that we lack ambition. It's just we have different interests. So what is it you do for
Right.
real?
Well, what I do in my, like, I call it my 9 to 5, just so everybody knows, it's like a full-time job, but essentially I work second shift as a quality technician, and I basically inspect tooling and check people's machines to make sure they're all running and producing parts the way that they're supposed to. But um, I also do like programming and analytics there. So, and I basically do that for at least 40 hours a week.
Okay, so you have a bit of responsibility then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So coming back to your stream, when somebody first time comes into your stream, what's something you think they misunderstand about what's going on?
Well, I suppose there's a couple different things. I would say probably about 50% of my time at least is spent playing competitive games like competitive shooters or Rocket League, which is like a competitive car soccer game, if no one knows what that is. But I would say that, maybe I am a competitive person, but that's not all I do. I actually prefer JRPGs to just about any other game, but it's just, when I'm on and I got a bunch of friends on, we just want to play a competitive game and play around with each other. I guess also too, the other thing that can be misconstrued is I'm I'm really nice when people are talking to me, but I feel like people almost immediately want to take advantage of that when they don't know you. And if they're just generally not like a good person, they're not in your stream for the right reasons. And if somebody like wants to do something like self promote or something, I have very clear rules in my chat. They're already defined on my page, so like you have to see them before you start chatting with me. And if you violate those rules, I'm instantly going to give you not a nice warning. It's just going to be like, hey, we don't do that here, period. Or my mod will block them before I even see them. And that's basically, it's a real quick system because I don't like people taking advantage of me, and I don't like people being hateful, especially to, you know, particular races or sexes. I don't think that that's, nobody wants to see it, so I just have zero tolerance. So I think maybe my cuddly teddy bear kind of look might throw people, but I have zero tolerance for people who are disruptive.
Okay. Now, your chat, they generally a good group of people?
Yeah. You might even question what I'm saying with what you see my mods say to me, but because they like to bust my chops. But yeah, my a couple of my mods are actually people I've known um in real life, or they're friends of friends, and we're pretty fast friends, and I can count on them to, you know, it's a big responsibility, somebody being a mod, and you don't get paid for it. So there has to be that extra sense of like friendship and trust in a mod because they don't get compensated for their time. They don't, they're there because they want to be there, and they're going the extra mile by helping you assume the responsibility of your stream that they're not getting paid for.
Absolutely.
So
Shout out
that's,
to the mods.
yeah, shout out to the mods always.
So your chat, what's the best compliment they've ever given you?
A lot of people say teach me, or like you're a god at this game. And you know I do, if you can't tell already, I always try to be just really good at whatever I do. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, there's levity and humility, and like I'm okay with failing and laughing at it, but I do get mad at myself sometimes, and I do always push to be, you know really efficient at everything I do, and it does, boost my ego a little bit. It does make me feel good when people say that, I'm just like, they can't even reach my level because I don't even think I can reach pros levels. So between that and just people just saying I'm nice or I'm funny, that stuff makes me feel really good and warm and want to keep doing what I do.
Sure, and a little ego helps you perform a little better.
Yeah.
It's true across every industry. So, what's the worst trolling you've ever received, though?
Um, people just come in and say like, like the chat's dead, or that's across the board. All streamers hate that because we don't need you to tell us, because we either don't care or we know. And we're already, if we do know, it's already affecting us internally, and we're either fighting it or trying to ignore it. And you just slapping it back in our faces is just kind of saying, hey, I'm here just to be disrespectful and make you feel lower than I feel right now. So I feel like that's probably some of the worst that you could hit almost any streamer with, because it's just disrespectful. Other than that, it's usually things about my physical appearance, and I don't really take any of that to heart.
Okay. Now, you seem to be fairly involved in the streamer community. What's the community like?
Um, Very multifaceted because it has a really low bar of entry, but an extremely high ceiling of success. So, you're dealing with people who are like extremely in tune with people and the market, and they're just really good at everything they do, like Ninja, Markiplier. They're just really good at everything they do, and they've got it down to a science, and they seem like even when they're raging, it's funny. And then when they're in touch with the community, they're giving. And, you know, you have that end of the spectrum. Then you also have people who, I believe everyone has good intentions when they start out, but uh, basically if you're not equipped very well to do this or to deal with the social aspect of it, like networking is way more important than anything when you're starting out. And secondly is equipment. And if you can't do those two things, then you're not really going to have a fun time when you're streaming. The actual time you stream is actually pretty narrow compared to the time you have to prepare and adjust and curate your content and your equipment and your friendships and your networking. And I think a lot of people kind of break under that pressure. I've seen people like blame their own chats and mods for not being supportive enough. So I feel like it's like I said, it's multifaceted. There's a huge different spectrum of people. I think a lot like any large group of people, it's sensationalist. Like people take some things way too seriously. They don't take other things seriously enough. You can't make everybody happy all the time. So I would say it's probably just like any other large community. But at the also, like I said, at the same time, it can be really giving and really caring. And people can really, at the end of the day, if people stay in your chat or they stay connected to you on social media, they, in some way, they either look up to you or they just want to be your friend. And, that means more than any of the negative stuff.
That's great. That's spot on. Thank you so much. Now, KomodoKnowles, how do people get in touch with you? How do they find you on social?
Well, on all social media, I'm at KomodoKnowles. So Instagram, and so Instagram is basically just for like memes, funny videos, maybe some like video content updates, montages, joke videos. And then on Twitter is just going to be like my day in the life. So basically, I'm going to talk to you like you're my friend on there. I just try to connect and get to know everybody. My DMs are always open to people. As long
And
as
you
you're
spend a lot when
respectful.
you DM. I get like huge paragraphs from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thorough, I'm concise, and I want to let you know how much I respect you, and I want to give you I want to give you my time and let you know that I do care. It's not just some copy paste. And so, yeah, Twitter is always open. My Facebook is private, but I also have a Facebook for the stream, and that's KomodoKnowles stream. And other than that, yeah, that's about it for in ways to get into contact with me.
Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Is there something that I should have asked that I didn't?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Okay. In that case, KomodoKnowles, thank you so much for coming on with us today. We really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you for showcasing me and, talking to me about just, how it works in the world.
Absolutely. I think I stumped you a couple times with questions today.
Yeah. I mean, like I read the questions, but then also, it's just maybe I thought about it a little differently in the time between.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much again.
Thanks. No problem.
Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right, you all take it easy.